When you think of a flood, you probably picture this sudden, chaotic force of nature. But it's not really chaos at all. It's actually a pretty predictable chain reaction, a series of failures where one domino falls, and then the next, and then the next. So let's break down exactly how that happens.
And that right there is the key. A flood isn't just one single moment of disaster. It's a process. It's this quiet, relentless buildup that just keeps pushing and pushing natural systems right to their breaking point.
So here's the thing you really got to get. It's not simply about the rain. It's about what happens when that rain completely overwhelms the ground beneath our feet and then the rivers that cut through our landscapes.
See, every flood starts with rain. Obvious, right? But it's not just that it's raining. It's all about how it's raining. That's the first domino to fall. The trigger can look a couple of different ways. It might be a slow, steady rain that just goes on for days, gradually soaking the land like a sponge until it just can't hold anymore. Or it could be the complete opposite, a sudden, violent downpour that just dumps an insane amount of water in a few hours. Either way, the result is the same. The ground gets pushed way past its limit.
Okay, so the rain pulls the trigger, but the flood itself, well, the real story of the flood begins the moment that water hits the ground. Let's dig into that.
This is where everything changes. This is the tipping point, the exact moment when the earth stops being our defense against a flood and actually becomes part of the problem.
I want you to think of the ground as a giant sponge. It's full of all these tiny little air pockets that can soak up a ton of water. But just like any sponge, it has a limit. And soil saturation, that's the moment that limit is hit.
So let's walk through this, step by step. First, the rainwater soaks in, filling up all those little pockets. Then, those pockets become completely full. The ground is now what we call saturated. And this right here, step 4, is the point of no return. From this moment on, every single new drop of rain has absolutely nowhere to go. It can't soak in, so it starts to slide across the surface. This is the moment a flood becomes inevitable.
And this comparison just brilliantly illustrates why our cities are so vulnerable. Natural ground, forests, fields, it acts like that sponge, slowing everything down. But our urban areas, covered in concrete and asphalt, they're more like a funnel. They absorb almost nothing. Instead, they just channel huge amounts of water straight into our drainage systems, which just dramatically accelerates the whole process.
All right, so the land has basically said, nope, I'm full. It's not absorbing water anymore, it's just shedding it. And now, gravity takes over, and all of that rejected water starts to move.
This is what we call surface runoff, and it's basically the flood starting to get its legs. This isn't just water anymore. It's a gathering force of energy, and it's starting to move with a purpose.
Just try to picture this for a second. You've got water flowing off every single street, every field, every hillside. All these little trickles start merging together, becoming streams, then creeks, and they're all feeding into one destination, the local river. The river isn't just rising from the rain falling on it, it's swelling under the pressure of all this runoff pouring in from all sides.
So all of this water, from everywhere, is now being funneled into the river system, a system that's designed to carry water away. But now, it's facing a test it just can't pass. This is the breaking point. Every river has its banks, right? It's like a natural container. But as all that runoff just keeps pouring in, the water level shoots up way higher and faster than those banks can possibly hold. The whole system is overloaded. The water has to go somewhere, and the only direction left is out, over the banks and into all the surrounding land.
And this is what leads to the most dangerous, most terrifying kind of flood, the flash flood. This isn't some slow, gradual rise. This is an explosion of water. Especially in hilly areas or cities, that runoff moves with incredible speed, turning a calm street into a raging river in just minutes.
And that's the thing. With flash floods, it's not necessarily the depth of the water that gets you. It's the velocity. The sheer force of that water moving so fast is what makes these things so incredibly destructive and so deadly.
Let me put this in perspective for you. 30 centimeters, that's less than a foot deep. It might only come up to your ankles or shins, but if that water is moving fast, it has more than enough force to knock a full-grown adult right off their feet.
And it escalates so quickly. Get up to just 1 meter of that same fast-moving water, and it contains enough power to literally pick up a car and sweep it away like a toy. This isn't just water, it's a liquid battering ram.
So, after all this, what's the big takeaway? It's that floods aren't just these random, chaotic acts of nature. They are the logical, completely predictable result of a series of systems being pushed way beyond their limits.
And here it is, the whole cascade in one place. It starts with rain overloading the land. That saturated soil then creates massive runoff. All that runoff overwhelms the rivers. And finally, the rivers break their backs. It's a domino effect, clear as day.
This line just captures that final, violent moment perfectly. The water, which has been building up all this pressure silently, is finally released. And it doesn't just flow or spill over. It surges, with all the pent-up energy of the entire system failing at once.
And that's really why all this matters. Knowing this sequence, this chain reaction, it's not just some cool piece of science. It's a fundamental part of understanding the risk, of respecting the unbelievable power of water. In the end, it's a tool for survival.